to another episode of Nass nassthepod season 4. I know it's been a while. For those of you that worried, like, damn, is Nass still doing this? Like, why hasn't he dropped anything? I haven't dropped anything since my USA video in the summer. Coming into the NBA season, for those of you that have, I talked to or follow me on like a personal level, I had recently got a gig covering the Memphis Grizzlies for LastWordOnSports. Follow that too. Follow LastWordOnSports. And it's been fun. Obviously, for those that really do know me, like, writing has always been like my passion, just like writing about the league. And then obviously, like, going from that and building this, like, that was just another kind of another chapter in like my journalism journey. So basically, like, I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty big like challenge to really balance both of them, both like, writing pieces on a weekly basis and, trying to keep up with Nass the Pod. But for those of you that got me on Instagram, like, like every night, like, it's league pass game of the night, you already know. So but nah, I'm back. A lot of stuff has been going on. I've caught up on everything. I just haven't really brought it and presented it to you guys. But anyways, season 4 is kicking off right now. I'm just gonna, list off like topics for today. So I wanted to revisit some old takes from last season, specifically the Houston Rockets, vast growth, Russell Westbrook's resurgence. I know, like, no one wants to hear me talk about Russell Westbrook for an hour, so I'll probably spend like 5-10 minutes talking about Russell Westbrook. Phoenix Suns conundrum. Everyone knows since the Beal trade that I've just invested a lot of stock in that team, in the big three, and how I admire the play styles of KD, Booker, and Beal. So I want to, check in on that, give an update on that. Celtics deep breath. Celtics, I know people recently have been panicking about where we are right now as a team. It's really, really hard to defend a championship. Really, really hard to go back to back. I think people are really starting to realize that now. But I'm just going to kind of jot down like why I'm not too worried about it. My MVP Mountain first edition, we're about how many games into the season? We're almost at the halfway mark. I think we have enough data, enough, metrics, the eye test, enough like tape to really tell, okay, like, who is really going to be in the running for MVP. So definitely going to talk about that. I want to talk about Sacramento's performance since Mike Brown's firing. They've been hitting on all cylinders, and just like the roster personnel. And I just feel like that team is just way too talented to be where they are. But that might just be a reflection of how competitive the Western Conference is. I also want to talk about Anthony Edwards and how Minnesota has they're kind of in a funk, but they're still like pretty talented. And why I want to touch upon why I think Dante DiVincenzo being inserted into the starting lineup for Mike Conley may be, something to look out for. Briefly touch upon my Memphis Grizzlies LastWordOnSports experience, and kind of the ins and outs of that. And then lastly, I want to give a rough draft of my All-Star starters. Most people have already come up with who their starters are and stuff, but like, I don't know, like, we're like late January, probably like 3.5 weeks away from the All-Star game. There's still like games to be played, and I feel like some starters, I only have like 5 locks from both conferences combined, so definitely want to share that. But yeah, anyways, so to kick off this episode, gonna start off with my Houston Rockets. And I think out of everyone, I do believe that I can speak on the Houston Rockets, because one of my favorite things to do in this life is to basically assess a young roster, assess how much talent they have, their infrastructure, see what moves potentially need to be made to basically maximize the team. And I remember like 2 years ago for NGSC Sports, like, I wrote an article on Houston, I wrote an article on Detroit Pistons, and I think I wrote one on the Hornets, just because each of those teams I felt like had a transcendent franchise star. Obviously, Jalen Green for the Houston Rockets. You can throw Alperen Sengun in there, and Amen Thompson. I feel like all three of those guys are like franchise players in their own right. Obviously, Charlotte with LaMelo Ball, and then Detroit with Cade Cunningham. Like, 3 of those guys, those are, just pretty much like the future of our league. So I wrote pieces on NGSC Sports. I think those were like the three of the first like 5 pieces I wrote in 2023, I believe. Just like seeing like, okay, like this team is really bad. How can they, get better? They have, all these assets. How do they allocate them? How do they play together? How do they share? With the Houston Rockets, last season, they were like this close to making the Western Conference play-in. And this year they've come out firing on all cylinders. As a Celtics fan, I know Ime Udoka pretty well. And the reason why I always continue to give him his flowers is because he played a vital role in the molding of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are now NBA champions, 2 of the best two-way players in the league. And like I said, like those early, humbling years in 2020, 2021, and then, we go to the finals in 2022 and we lose to Golden State in 6, even though I still think that was a very winnable series. He just laid the foundation for those guys as, superstar players. And I'm obviously going to be forever grateful for that. Obviously, Joe Mazzulla has done a phenomenal job in, taking that torch and taking it to the next level. But, I just have to continue to give credit to Ime Udoka. And that's why, like, I've always been just a fan of him being in Houston. First off, Houston has so many players, like so many talented players. I could talk for another hour about it. But specifically, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, those 3 guys, I feel like those are the guys. Those are the 3 that you just need to build around. Obviously, the contributions from Dillon Brooks, Fred VanVleet, the past like 2.5 years, 2 years, I should say. They've been great too. Fred VanVleet last year was amazing shooting the ball. I think he had one of the best assist to turnover ratios last year. Dillon Brooks is, obviously one of the best defenders in the league. He's most likely going to make an all-NBA defensive team. He's been even better this year. And I'll give him credit. If you watch the Houston Rockets, he's hit some timely shots. Dillon Brooks is good. I know people have something out for Dillon Brooks, but Dillon Brooks is good in my book. He's just one of those guys. Like, you need that Draymond. You need that Dillon Brooks. You just need guys. Those are soldiers that are willingness. They'll do anything for you. So I want to tip my hat off to that. But to deep dive on Houston, second in the West, they beat Memphis back-to-back, I think, in a home-and-home series, I think, last week. And that was super impressive to me because Memphis, who I'm going to, touch upon later on in the episode, they're like 10, 11 players deep. Scrappy. I think they lead the league in scoring. Like I said, I'm going to talk about Memphis, but this is really about Houston. Them being those guys twice really said something. There was a nice little moment there when Ja hit this. I think the clock was going down. And Ja hit this basically almost half-court shot. Hit it, and then Jalen Green gets the ball next possession and flies down into the paint. And he basically, I think he hop-stepped or Euro-stepped into an and-one finish with a reverse right hand.
Oh, another grenade. They had 2, did not have much. Green turns the corner, comes into the paint, corkscrew layup in and one.
That's how you answer right back. And he loved the show.
And then after, when he, he was excited and he was showing some emotion, and he was darting back to the free throw line and Ja was just there. And then they just kind of, had a moment letting him know I'm here. You know what I mean? And I love stuff like that because just from on a competitive level, and these are 2 of these guys are probably 2 of the best young stars in the league right now. I know Ja's a little older, but just seeing the future the next 5 years of watching Jalen Green versus John Morant, that's just must-see TV. I think Jalen Green has officially launched himself into the almost superstar tier, guys that we think can ascend into that tier. Obviously, he's not a superstar yet, but he is a star. Jalen Green is a star. I think we can say that now. In January 2025, I think the Rockets are facing the Blazers. I think they got another W. And Thompson was out, I think, with a I forget the injury. He was a late scratch. I think it was a sprain or something. I gotta look deeper into it, but he was out tonight. He didn't play in Portland. But Jalen Green in January, he's averaging 30.6 points, 4 rebounds, a couple assists, shooting 52 from the field, 48 from 3 on 9.6 attempts, and 94 from the line. They've beat Memphis twice, like I mentioned. They beat Dallas, they beat the Lakers, and they beat the Nuggets. He's an amazing talent. My thing with Jalen has always been like, man, just get downhill because it's just going to open up the rest of your offense. He's shooting 48.1% on drives this year. Only 360 total drives, which is like, what that tells me, and I know Ime is not, people don't think Ime as a refined, like, offensive, like, X and O guru guy. You know what I mean? That's not him, or people don't, like, tout him out to be that. But I always thought, like, Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green, like, that dribble handoff, that pick and roll, like, that's a lethal combination. There's, like, how many defenders can stay in front of Jalen Green? He has one of the quickest first steps, and his vert, like, he's, like, got to be, like, a top 1% vert guy in the league. Like, how many guys have his vert? His athleticism is just very rare, especially at the two-guard position. It's, like, Jalen Green, Anthony Edwards, I guess you can even say like Jaylen Brown, but even Jaylen Brown gets up, but like Jalen Green like really gets up. Like he's a leaper for sure. So I always thought like, man, like he's a good free throw shooter. He's shooting like 87% from the free throw line this year. So him putting pressure on, bigs, which leads to potential fouls, more points at the line, the bonus. Obviously what comes with the bonus is potentially more possessions, more points. So I just thought like, man, like JG, like I know you can dance. I know you can, you can hit the three, but if you really, really refine that intermediate like game between like 10 to 16 feet, which I know he's not really shooting great there, but overall as a scorer, he's just been super, super effective, and he's scoring like a star, like an all-star, and I think he's gonna make the all-star team. Alperen Sengun, I think he's also gonna be an all-star this year. 19 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 49% from the field. He has the highest net rating on the team. Amen Thompson, who since early last year I was saying like, listen, at some point Fred VanVleet, like you've done amazing, but I thought even last year like Amen Thompson's gonna play himself into the starting five or crunch time five, and I think it was last week Fred VanVleet had an injury, obviously was out, and Amen was the first guy to kind of replace him. Amen in the starting lineup since he's entered the starting five: 16 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.7 steals, and tick under 2 blocks a game. 56% shooting from the field. He's a part of four of Houston's top 5 most productive lineups, and I sort that out by net rating. So if you have like 10 lineups that have played over like 50 minutes. I go on NBA.com. Like I said, I'm a junkie. I'm weird like that, but whatever. He's a part of 4 of Houston's top 5. Houston is 9-1 when Amen starts. I know he was out tonight. He's actually holding defenders to 55.9% shooting from the field, which is second in the NBA amongst guards. So he's probably an all-defense lock. He is a freak of nature. And if he gets his handle even 10% tighter than what it is right now, or if he becomes even if he improves marginally as a jump shooter, I think the league is gonna have to be put on notice. This is a very scary team. Now, the question I have for this team in the long run, because it's proven they win by playing defense, and if they're hitting threes, it's gonna be a long night for you. Because like I said, they can really, really play defense at a high level. Tari Eason, I believe he just returned last game. He's been out with this leg soreness from an injury that was lingering last year that kept him out, actually. But he just came back. He's also a top-notch defender. There was a 2 to 3 week period of time, him and Amen were coming off the bench, and they would just like impact the game on another level. So I got to shout out Tari Eason too. But yeah, my question for the Rockets is, because of their lack of pure shot creation, they don't have a lot of shot creation guys. Can Jalen Green maintain? Okay, do I think he's going to score 30 for the rest of the year? Probably not. But do I think he can be a 24 to 26 points per game scorer the rest of the year into the playoffs? Yes. I think that's going to be the X factor. If they can rely on his shot creation, and if he can basically, as the season goes on, he's going to improve. But if he can improve as a floor raiser, playmaker, like, getting guys like decent looks, especially in crunch time, I think that's really where the Rockets will be able to go to the next level, because right now I think they're second worst in assists per game. Not too good. Tari Eason's leg, I think Amin is a great defender, but he's not going to be able to. I mean, honestly, I can't really question their defense. They got Amin, they got Dylan Brooks. Fred VanVleet's always been a respectable defender. Even Jalen Green, he's taking strides as a defender too. Like I said about Sengun, I think when he's on the court, like, the Rockets have the best like defensive rating when he's on the floor out of all the players on the team. So I don't really want to question the defense, but I do think that if JG can continue this hot streak, and I don't even think it's a hot streak anymore because I think this is just becoming who he is. I think he had like 26 tonight in Portland, shooting efficient from the field. That's been the only knock on Jalen. No one ever said that he's not talented. We just needed him to just be more consistent, find his groove, find his spots on the court. And if he takes like a leap as a mid-range shooter, like the way Shea did, the way De'Aaron Fox did, the way Donovan Mitchell did, if he takes a leap in that department, I mean, he's only like, what, 23? I didn't even look it up, but I think JG's like 23. If he takes a leap, specifically in that intermediate area, this team is going to take off. They're going to take off because they have a very well-experienced coach who has already been to a finals. Number one, they play defense, which is just hard to find in the NBA in 2025. Guys don't want to play defense. They just don't. So yeah, that's my Houston Rockets rants. The Phoenix Suns recently acquired Nick Richards. I believe he had like 20 points, 11 rebounds in their win against the Detroit Pistons. The Phoenix Suns have been something so funny. They've been hard to assess. I could sit here and tell you, they're not a good team. They're not good. But that just feels too lazy of a take, because I do think that they have not just the talent, but they do have the infrastructure to be a conference contender. You know what I mean? And I know they lost last year embarrassingly. Came into this year trying the whole Beal, Booker, KD, Tyus Jones. They tried that rollout. I think we were forgetting to realize that Nurkic in 2025, it's hard. It's hard to really construct a championship winning team with Nurkic as your starting center. And it's not a knock on him, but it's just a bad fit. It's a bad fit. It was more than just Bradley Beal, because truthfully speaking, all we heard last year was, the Phoenix Suns, they need a point guard. Then they got Tyus Jones, one of the most responsible point guards of the past 6 years. If you look up his metrics, his assist-to-turnover ratio is off the charts. He's usually top 2, top 3 every year. They rounded that out. They doubled down, and they got Monte Morris, another really responsible point guard who can run your offense efficiently. He's been good for them off the bench. So they add those two guys, and you're thinking, okay, this team should be able to take off. They go 8-1, then the injuries start. KD gets dinged up. Booker gets dinged up. And then Beal continues his, injury streak. So they had some early hurdles to get over, especially with their health. But I think another underlying problem, besides their lack of rim protection and ability to rebound, was Tyus Jones he's been good this year. He's shooting the ball well from 3. He's been aggressive. He's, running the team efficiently. But for some reason, I think we forgot to realize, okay, Beal, Book, and KD in the starting lineup, you would think that they're going to shoot every shot. But if Tyus Jones is taking 12, 13 shots a game, someone out of the big 3 is not shooting the ball. And obviously, okay, you can, if you really want to allocate the time and do you break down the numbers, if KD's shooting 20 times, Booker's shooting 20 times, where does that leave for Beal? And that's where you kind of see those inconsistent scoring nights. So now they move him to the bench. The guy scores 25 in his first and third game off the bench. He went for 25. He's been all right, but when you watch the games, you watch the box scores, he's just not getting enough shots. The no trade clause, and I feel bad for Beal, because this is someone last season that had multiple roles. He was asked to do so many different things. Anyone that followed the team, even Coach Frank Vogel, he was very admiring of Bradley Beal, and on numerous occasions to the press, he was praising him for his sacrifices. So this is not a Bradley Beal. I mean, this is a Bradley Beal issue, but it's not a Bradley Beal like not trying to buy in issue. It's not him not being a competent professional issue. This is, like I said, a bad fit. And you know, you guys making 50 mil, like it's too much to come off the bench. Like, if anything, and it's tough. And I know everyone's trying to spew out this whole Miami thing. Like, let's come on, like this just the guy like he has a wife and like what 3 boys. Like he's not gonna pack up his family from Phoenix just to go to a team that's not contending. Like that's just not. That's why he has the clause. You know what I mean? Especially having all those early years in Washington with a lack of talent after, you know, they moved off John Wall. So it's been tough. It's been tough for Beal, and you know, I want to tip my hat off to him too, because I think he's just been an amazing like professional, because it's tough when you know you're not wanted somewhere and you still gotta, you know, I mean, I shouldn't like feel too bad. The guy is making 50 mil, but the guy's not doing this for the money. You know what I mean? Like the guy loves basketball. Now, are there guys that would not care, like whatever they're making 50 mil? Probably, but in this case, you know, he's trying to play basketball. He's trying to play winning basketball. He's already done the accolades. He's already put up numbers on a bad team. So I don't think he wants to go back to that chapter of his life, especially at what he's like 30 years old. Like, yeah, I can't blame him. So last season I had my 2 weird East teams. I think this video, I think I combined it with, I think I was talking about Jalen Green in Houston last year. This is during a period of time where he was struggling. And then I was talking about 2 weird East teams that I felt were talented in the Atlanta Hawks, who just beat my Celtics tonight. Shout out to Quinn Snyder. I don't know what it is. He just finds means of beating Boston. I don't know what it is. But the Atlanta Hawks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have arguably been the best team in the league. I know they lost to the Thunder recently, but they're just hitting it on all cylinders. Darius Garland will be an all-star. Donovan Mitchell, just a coachable superstar who's put up big numbers. That guy has a 70-point game to his name. He's put up numbers in the playoffs. He's gone against some real heavyweights dating back to his rookie year. So, you know, that, and then, you know, dealing with all the Mitchell, is he going to, you know, get traded? Like, is he trying to move off? You know, and then you got Evan Mobley, who has just he's just progressed and developed, and now he's a star now too. He's a 2-way star. He's going to be an all-star most likely. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson. He's just done a great job over there in Cleveland. You know, it was such a weird team last year. Like, I was like, Darius Garland is way too talented to be taking 12 to 13 shots a game. Like that guy should be averaging 20 easily. He's just way too talented. Okoro has progressed. Karis LeVert, he's proving he's more than just a bucket getter. He's been really good on the defensive end. They got shooters everywhere. Dean Wade, Max Strus. They got the Twin Towers, obviously, with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They can do a lot of different things. They can go small and move Mobley to the 5 and just go shooters with Mitchell, or shooters with Garland, or they can go 2 big, you know, Twin Towers and bring in Georges Niang, go a little bit bigger. So they can do a lot of things. And I think that's why they've been so successful, is that they have different identities as a team. They can do different things. And I think, you know, Atkinson has done a phenomenal job at embracing that and, you know, really assessing, like, you know, how much talent they have on the team, because the team is really, really talented, really, really good. And they've kind of closed, I don't want to say they're a championship contender, but I definitely think it's a team that can definitely, you know, spoil it for like a team like the Celtics or like the Knicks, or even a team like Milwaukee. Now, some people would say that, you know, Cleveland might be better than most of those teams outside Boston, but me, like, I need to see a little bit more. Besides Mitchell, I mean, everyone else is kind of unproven in the playoffs. So, you know, I just want to see a little bit. I want to see them win a round or two. This is the same thing with OKC. Everyone's saying, "Oh, OKC to the finals." Like, can they win 2 rounds first? Like, let's see it. I just want to see it first. You know what I mean? This is the regular season. It's a long season. You know, can one of these players go cold and, you know, the Cavs lose, like, I don't know, 7 out of 10? Because there's ups and downs. There's peaks and valleys in the NBA season. So I try to, keep that in the back of my conscience. But yeah, shout out to Kenny Atkinson. He's just done a great job. I just knew last year, like, listen, like, Cleveland has way too much talent to be the middle of the East. And at the time I recorded it last year, I think they had to have been like a 5th seed or 6th seed or something like that. The Atlanta Hawks, really, really fun East team. Jalen Johnson, Trae Young, Okongwu, Bogdanovich. I'm just spewing out just random Hawks names. Really good team. Rishisei, the rookie. Really fun team. This is probably the most fun Trae Young team ever. This is a guy that's put up numbers his whole career. I think his second year he averaged like 29 and like 11. Like, the numbers, putting up stats has never been a problem with Trae. I think he's the most underrated point guard in the league. I really do think so. A week and a half ago, I believe, like, that game winner in Utah, 2020 game, hits the half-court shot. Like, he's insane. But yeah, I thought they were a really weird East team because I'm just like, Trae Young is one of the best quarterback, point guard engines in the league. He's leading the league in assists this year, and I'm pretty sure if he stays at this pace, I think it's going to be the highest mark since John Stockton. I think it was like, John Stockton was like 12.3 and like 94 or something like that. Trae has put up literally the highest assists per game total since Stockton. And you can think about all the passers that we've had since John Stockton. Yeah, like Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, CP3, LeBron, Harden, Westbrook, like Jokic. We've had a lot of like really, really, really big stat assist guys, and Trae Young makes it look too easy. Luka Doncic, I forgot to mention his name. We've had some high metrics in the assists for the assist category. So I want to shout out Trae. I just like watching the Hawks. I just do. Like, even them facing Boston today, like, they're just an annoying team. They're just really, really annoying. They have length everywhere. Dyson Daniels is going to make an All-NBA team this year. I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in steals. He has like 3, which obviously doesn't sound a lot when you hear that number, but when you think about steals per game, like, most guys that lead the league in steals per game, they usually end up averaging like 2.1. I'm pretty sure Shea and De'Aaron Fox, they were the season leader in that metric. So yeah, the Hawks, they're a fun team. They're in the hunt. Now, I do think Trae is going to have to wait a couple years. He's probably going to have to bank on the developing of Jalen Johnson, Rishisei. Like, I think he's going to have to bank on them moving forward. I think they need to move off Capella because they have Okongwu, who is basically like 80% of Capella. I think Capella's on an expiring contract. I don't know if it's this year. I think it's next year, but I got to double check that. Fact check that. But yeah, they could use a little bit more. They could use like one more shot creator. I know Bogdanovich is, he's a sniper off the bench, but he's a little bit older. I think he's like 34, 35. They could use just one more shot creator. Dyson Daniels does give you some supplemental scoring, but he's not the best 3-point shooter. Doesn't particularly like stretch defenses that much. But I do think that Atlanta's a really, really talented team. Really, really talented. So yeah, that's just, revisiting my 2 weird East teams, because I just thought that, listen, those 2 teams got talent, man. Like, someone's gotta do something over there. You know what I mean? Celtics deep breath. I'm not panicking with the Celtics, to be honest with you. I know Derek White, he's been in a funk for the past like week and a half. Jason Tatum is having like one of the most underrated like non-MVP candidate seasons ever. I know people don't want to hear me talk about Jason Tatum for, the next segment, especially after the Team USA stuff, and then, Brandon Jennings, who is someone I actually respect as like a basketball player and what he's contributed to basketball history, especially, coming out of LA and being, the number 1, player in the league, go to Oak Hill, he's putting up massive numbers. You win a ring. I think you almost go undefeated with Nolan Smith. And then you become like basically a trailblazer, being like the first guy to forego college and go overseas. You go to Italy, and then you still make it to the league. Did Brandon Roy win Rookie of the Year? I'm not even sure. Did he? I gotta fact check that. He might have, but I know he put up 55 his rookie year in Milwaukee. I know they made the playoffs. So like, Brandon Jennings is he has a legit like he has a legit couple pages in NBA history. Like, if you go through, if you had a book in front of you and it was, called NBA history, you're not scrolling by any page without probably seeing Brandon Jennings. Like, at some point you're gonna come across, oh, Brandon Jennings. So for him, someone who has been very, well accomplished, especially as a teen, a preteen to young adult in the NBA, for him to speak about Jason Tatum in the way he did was just weird. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know if he was just looking for clicks or just, I don't know. I feel like all those niggas at the Gills Arena, they already make enough money. So I don't know. Talking out of his pocket about Tatum was just very weird to me. I don't know. So lost a little respect. Just a teeny bit. Cause it's like, come on, bro. Like, really, this is what you're doing. You guys are getting up, having drinks, and you're just slandering Tatum. Like, I don't know. Very weird. But anyways, back to the Celtics. I'm not too worried about the C's. Still second in the East. It's just, like I said, it's very hard to defend your title. I know they lost against Toronto. I was pretty pissed about that because it's like, bro, this is Toronto. Like, come on. I said the Celtics have been struggling the past couple weeks or so, but they had a really good win against Orlando at home. Paolo came back. I just I know we lost to Atlanta tonight on the back-to-back, but I'm not super worried. And honestly, we need those punches now instead of, in April or in March when we're trying to really set the tone. KP obviously came back a little bit earlier. We've been better without him than with him, which is weird. If you look up our points per game, our record with him versus without him, we're better without him, at least this year. But I mean, he just gives us a whole nother dimension on offense, and he's a rim protector. And, you can't forget that even last year when he was at 60%, the Mavericks they weren't fucking with us. They just couldn't do anything. So, yeah, Kristaps Porzingis, I don't know. The C's, I'm not really sure. I think it's a hunger thing. I can't pinpoint to one thing okay, we need to do this better, do that better. I just think it's, Derek White and Drew Holiday have just been a little bit and that just shows you that how competitive the NBA are. If two of our best role players, or I should say stars, if they're not playing up to par, it's just, it's a little bit marginal. We have zero room for error because I'm not going to lie to you, the Celtics top 6, top 7 players, really great. We get pretty thin after Pritchard. I know we have guys like Keita, who's been really good. Cornette was amazing today against the Hawks, especially in the first half. Rebounding the ball. I think he had 4 steals by halftime or something like that. So we have quality guys, but it's just, we don't know if they're going to step up on a game-to-game basis now. Could Cornette get put in a pick and roll and attacked as a point of attack guy next game and, give up 4 straight buckets? Maybe. Who knows? But I still think I like the constructive of the team. Someone asked me when I went to go get a haircut. Someone asked me oh, what do you think we need to do? And I was like, I'm not sure we need to do anything. We're pretty locked in too. I mean, in terms of roster personnel, I don't know if we need another wing defender. I'm not sure if we need another guard. I feel like we're kind of well equipped in pretty much every facet, especially when you got a guy like Tatum who can play so many different roles. If you want him to go guard the 5 like he did in the finals, he can go do that. You want him to, be the pick and roll guy. You want him to be the roll man on, smaller lineups. He can do that. Do you want him to facilitate offense? Sure. Do you want him to post up? So his versatility really does a lot for us. Even Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's, I think, averaging a career high in assists. He's just seeing the floor so much better. And obviously that comes with experience. It comes with reps. And obviously he's a superstar now, seeing all these different coverages. So it's been good for him. And I think those two have still taken legit strides in their games. So that's one reason why I'm not too worried about the team. I mean, we were up 20 on the Orlando Magic, and Jaylen Brown, I remember one play, he was just so pissed about a missed defensive assignment. We were already up 20 at the time, and it's the fourth quarter. So usually guys with egos, you don't see that often. So that's really why I'm not worried. And I'm not worried about Mazzulla either. I just think that, White and Holiday specifically, they're just a little bit of a rut. And they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Jalen's not shooting the ball that great this year either, but I'm not worried. A lot of these teams they're just not there. And a lot of these teams have never been there, so we've been there multiple times. We just brought it home last year, so I like to play the long game. You know what I mean? So it's healthy for us to have these hurdles to overcome, and that's why I'm not really too worried about the team. I think we'll be just fine. I think we go out west pretty soon, which is going to be interesting. I think we went out west, was it a week and a half ago? We went 4-1 on the road trip, so I'm really not worried about the guys. I'm really not. So that's the C's. My Memphis Grizzlies, last word on basketball. Last word on sports. That is the website that your man's writes for. Really fun team. Really, really fun team. The Memphis Grizzlies actually came to Boston, and they gave us work. They're like 10 deep. You know, Ja, Jaren, Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, Jalen Wells, who's going to be a Rookie of the Year finalist, Santi Aldama, Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart, who else? Scottie Pippen Jr. Like, I'm just spewing names off the dome. Really, really fun team. They're like 10 deep. It's been really fun covering the team. It's been really fun just evaluating players, watching tape. It's just been super fun. Super, super fun. I've always been a fan of Ja too. So it's always been kind of fun to... I've always kept a close eye on like Ja and the Grizzlies, but this year around it's a different level. It's a different level. I'm watching them like more than I watch the Celtics, to be honest with you. Part of that is like, you know, they're that fun to watch, and another side of it is like I need to, you know, watch enough tape. So I've definitely been a little bit of a hybrid NBA fan this year, Celtics and Grizzlies, but I'm an NBA junkie. You know, I'll watch the Hawks versus the Wizards if I need to. So, really, really, really fun team. Jaren Jackson has been the Grizzlies' best player this year. I kind of want to give him the All-Star starting nod because he's been the most available. He's been the most consistent. You know, a guy like Desmond Bane, who's starting to turn the corner now. He was struggling early on shooting the ball, but he was so valuable in other facets of his game. He's, you know, passing the ball, rebounding, even defending at a pretty high level for him. It's weird. Desmond Bane, I think, is one of the most selfless young stars in the game right now, but he's actually like, it seems like he's peaking. Like he's improving as a professional basketball player, even though his numbers don't reflect that. Because that's a guy that should be somewhere else averaging like 25 and 5, like easily. So shout out Desmond Bane, but even he's had some injury hurdles, but the team is just deep. Like Desmond Bane can be out for like 5-6 games and the Grizzlies are fine. They'll just start Scottie Pippen Jr., responsible point guard in the backcourt, start him next to Jalen Wells, who's been starting all year. And they'll be fine. It's crazy. It's actually wild. They're still waiting Gigi Jackson to get back and Vince Williams Jr., who very important point of attack defender, wing guy. He can handle the rock with secondary units if, you know, non-Ja minutes, non-Bane minutes. Like, the team is really, really, really good. They just gave, I think, the Spurs 140, and Ja didn't play. So, yeah, Taylor Jenkins has done a really, really good job. Really, really good. Kleiman, the general manager, has done a phenomenal, phenomenal job just drafting. Like, those guys just hit on every draft. Every draft. I'm pretty sure Scottie Pippen Jr., Jay Huff, their stretch 5, Vince Williams Jr., those 3 guys were all converted on 2-way deals, which is like unheard of. And now they play legit minutes for the Grizzlies. Like Jay Huff is maybe like their 11th guy, but he's been playing. Like he plays contributes. He shoots threes. He plays well. Not the best like defender, wing guy or rim protector, but he's really, really good for them. So yeah, that's been pretty fun. So yeah, shout out to Last Word on Sports. The Sacramento Kings. I know there's been a lot of coaches came to the defense of Mike Brown after he got let go. But what's weird is the Kings have been winning games since, so I don't know what that means. Doug Christie, former Kings great, he's stepped up and the team has been really, really good. And what's even like more surprising is they've been amazing, and De'Aaron Fox was out for like 4 or 5 of those games. And, you know, they came to Boston, they won. Malik Monk, shout out Malik Monk. Like, he is no longer a 6-man anymore. Like, I don't, like, not just the fact that he's not a 6-man role guy, should never be sought out or, like, thought of as just a 6-man. He's been inserted in the starting lineup, and he looks like 2005 Manu Ginobili. Like, the guy is just improved and improved as a playmaker. Like, if you look up his metrics as like a pick and roll ball handler the past like 2-3 years, he's been amazing. This is a guy that the Lakers like let go. And I was just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know what I mean? And then you end up acquiring D'Angelo Russell, and then you flip him. Like, don't you think you could have just saved yourself that money by just keeping Malik Monk and Austin Reeves together? Like, those guys could be starting for you right now. Yeah, Malik Monk in Sacramento, he's been really good. Him and Sabonis, that two-man game is lethal. DeMar DeRozan has been really, really good. Fox is going to be an all-star. I'm pretty sure he's like 4th or 5th in scoring, averaging like 26, 27 a game. He has a 60-point game this year. Really, really fun team. Keon Ellis, who I've been saying, start my man's Keon Ellis. Great point of attack defender. It's hard because he can't, even right now, he can't start because I think it's De'Aaron, Malik, DeMar, Sabonis, and I think Keegan Murray. I think that's the 5 right now. So it's hard for Keon to kind of get in there and get crunch time minutes. But when he's out there, they're really, really good. The Kings are just a better defending team. Like, he's one of the better high net rating guys on their team. So I'm a Keon Ellis fan. I like Keon Ellis. I think he should be playing. It's going to be hard because they run like 3-guard lineups. I know DeMar is started as a small forward, but DeMar DeRozan came into the league as a 2-guard. He might not be playing like the 2-guard position like on paper, but when he's out there, he's playing like a 2-guard. He's not out there like, banging shoulders with fucking power forwards. Like, he's a guard. So it's kind of tough for Keon to get his, getting a rhythm out there, but when he's out there, he's very, very effective. So I want to shout out the Kings too. Very, very fun team. My MVP mountain, something that I started last year. I usually keep it to a max of 5 players. So right now, I have Shea, Nikola Jokic, Tatum, Giannis, and my 5th spot, I'm not very sure. So for my 5th spot, these are the candidates. I had Cade Cunningham, Wemby, Durant. I was thinking about throwing Jaren Jackson in there maybe, but I'm not sure. But even with this Houston Rockets thing, like, I'm thinking like, the Rockets are 2nd in the West. Shouldn't someone be at least on the calendar? Should it be Sengun, Jalen Green? I don't know. I was thinking about the Sabonis from the Kings because he's been amazing since Fox has been out. To be honest with you, even Cade Cunningham. Cade is 24.5, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 46 from the field, 38 from the line. The only reason why I thought Cade has a chance at least entering the MVP mountain is because he's just been that key for the Pistons. Like, when he's not out there, they're just a complete different team. They lost Jaden Ivey to I believe a fractured tibia or fibula. He got some crazy injury. I think he's out for the year. Actually, I'm not sure. I think he's going to be reevaluated in a couple months. I got to fact check that. I'm not really sure. But Cade is key. He's just been super, super, super good for them. Malik Beasley and Timmy Hardaway Jr., those guys weren't really too sought out in free agency or on the trade market. He's made them, he's reinvented those guys. He's just made them look that great and productive. Wembanyama, I think he just has to be in that conversation. I mean, he has a higher EPM than Tatum, Luka, and Giannis. Both of those teams, the Spurs and the Pistons, are in the play-in, at least play-in territory. The Spurs aren't too far out. And when you watch the Spurs, they're a very competitive team. They compete with every team. So yeah, I think that my MVP mountain, it's something I'm going to be updating on a week-to-week basis, something I'll keep an eye on. But right now, it's definitely Shea, Nikola, then I have Tatum and Giannis in that 3rd tier. People aren't going to want to hear the Tatum thing, but I mean, when you look at past defending champions, usually the early bumps in the road, trying to find that hunger, that happens the first 2 months. The Celtics started off the season clicking. People forget, we gave the Cavs their first loss. And he's had a bigger rebounding burden. He's averaging a career high in rebounds. I know people don't want to credit rebounders because rebounding is not cool in 2025. When you talk about, NBA discourse, people don't talk about rebounding. People think rebounding is solely something for big men to do. It's not. It means you more possessions. It's a very, very, valuable component and important component to basketball, any basketball team. You need to rebound the ball. It's very, very important. The Phoenix Suns are a very talented team. The reason why they can't beat teams is because they don't rebound enough. So it just tells you, like, rebounding is a very, very, very important component. And Tatum averaging 9, like, that's nothing. I'm not too surprised by it because he's been doing something like that his whole career. But yeah, so I gotta keep him in the MVP conversation. Gonna give a quick shout out to Russell Westbrook before I close this out. As a starter, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 51% from the field in 31 minutes. The Nuggets are 14-4 when he starts. Actually, I think they're 15-4 now because they beat Miami last night. He started. Aaron Gordon, for most of that stretch, was out. Now he's back, but he's coming off the bench. So it's like there's just so much going on in Denver. I think Denver, they have to be considered a contender. If Jokic is going to be playing at this level, and recently his numbers have been, they're not as stat stuffy. Well, he's still stuffing the stat sheet, don't get me wrong, but instead of like the 31, 20, and 9, it's been like 23, 10, and like 8. You know what I mean? So other players are stepping up, him being that decoy role. Like, he's one of the best floor raisers of all time. Like, he just literally makes everyone so good. And I thought Russell was just going to be what Bruce Brown was in 2021. But he's been that, but on a way better scale. Like, just better in every department. Rebounding, defending, the break, running. I think he had like a 25-point game against the Thunder earlier this year in a W. Like, listen, man, the guy's just a competitor. So I just want to shout out Russ real quick. I know people just been, on his ass, but he's been great. He's been great for them. What didn't we touch on? I think we touched on everything in here. Anthony Edwards, Rob Dillingham minutes. Sign me up for any Anthony Edwards and Rob Dillingham minutes. I don't want to miss a minute of any of that. They went to New York last night, beat the Knicks. Towns didn't play, but and I think Ant's been over 30 points a game ever since he started wearing that bracelet for the cancer patient. So very touching there. He's just a really, really good two guard. Really good two guard. He's shooting like 40+% from 3. Shooting like 9-10 threes a game. I hope he still maintains his rim aggression because he's just too great of an athlete, Anthony Edwards, to just be hoisting jumpers all day. But and I had to go through this with Tatum too. Tatum at one point just didn't want to go to the rim. He didn't want to embrace contact, get to the line. I was like, bro, you're a good free throw shooter. Go to the paint, put pressure on the bigs. You're bailing them out with all these jumpers. But Anthony Edwards he's been really good. He might be a starter too. Not gonna lie to you, it's gonna be tough between him and Book. It's gonna be tough to see who gets that number 2 spot. But yeah, that's about it. Season 4, thanks for tuning in on the way. nassthepod season 4 has been going on, man. Good vibes. Keep up with the Last Word on Sports articles, man. The Memphis Grizzlies are a really, really good basketball team. Any John Morant fans on here, tap in. Really, really tap in. I'll put the link in the bio. Hit the subscribe on the bottom. I'm so bad at reminding you guys that, but if you enjoy the content, you probably should already been considering that, but it is what it is. Right, y'all. Season 4.